Hi everybody, Coach Jorge Capestany here, and I have an interesting video for you today, and I'm going to title it Fist Pump. Like, when to fist pump. Is fist pumping good? Is it like a bad thing? Is it a good thing? And I'm just going to give you my opinion that I love it when one of my players is fighting and pumping his fist and kind of showing some emotion. But there's always seemingly, to me, problems when it happens in the juniors, and a lot of times people use it to be annoying. So we probably all know of people who kind of fist pump, and somehow when they do it, it just seems annoying. But we know that the pros often fist pump. All the pros. Federer will do fist pumps. Rafa Nadal is very, well known for that. He does fist pumps and jumping fist pumps, and he's always showing emotion. I'm going to show you and tell you about a story, a conversation I had with one of our students about fist pumping and what's good, what's wrong, and maybe give you some clarity on this. And if you're a coach or a parent, I think this is worth sharing with your kid. So let me just kind of go down my list here. The second thing I have here, well, really the first thing is whether it's annoying. And it can be annoying, and some people actually have to understand in our sport, some people want to do it. They use fist pumping for the purpose of being annoying and getting under your skin and trying to make you play worse. Now that is maybe what their intention is, but if you allow it to happen to you, then that's bad on you. Now let's talk about when it's obvious and when it's not obvious. So the question is, well, when should you fist pump? And I don't think that that is a real obvious thing. So I put here obvious with a question mark. So a lot of people would say, well, you would fist pump after a really long point or after I do something really good. Okay, so that could be the case. Or maybe most people would agree that, hey, when my opponent makes an error, that's not when I'm going to fist pump. But then when people do fist pump at that time, they think, well, he's just doing that to make me mad. So I don't think it's super obvious. I do think that you can actually lose or win a point on an opponent's error. In other words, they maybe make an unforced error, and there is an appropriate time to fist pump, and let me tell you when that would happen. Let's say, for example, I hit a spin serve in there, and the opponent returns it into the net, and I go, yeah, come on. Well, on that type of time, that timing on that one would probably be bad. I don't think I would want to see one of my players doing that. However, and I've seen Rafa Nadal do this, Rafa Nadal will do a fist pump after his opponent makes an unforced error. Given these situations, what if there was a 20-30 ball rally, and during that rally, Rafa might have saved a whole bunch of really tough shots and maybe played defense and played defense again and got 3 or 4 or 5 balls back that no one thought could get back, and finally after 20 balls the guy nets a baseline shot and Rafa is giving himself a pump up. I think that is okay because he's kind of pumping himself up for the good fight and the good hustle that he showed. It's not so much that the guy made an error. So there's a little bit of a fine line there about what's good and what's bad. So one thing, and I'm going to talk now about doing it towards or away from the opponent, because this is the big thing I think is quite different between the junior level and the pro level. In junior tennis, quite often when someone does a fist pump, I see a lot of boys do this, they're pumping towards the opponent. So if I'm playing you and you make a shot, or maybe I hit a winner, or it could be your loser, I fist pump, I'm kind of looking at you and I'm kind of like in your face, like, come on, and I'm looking directly at the opponent, and that's a bit confrontational. But if you watch what the pros do, they do it kind of away from the opponent. They're not looking at the guy. It's very uncommon will you see a pro do a fist pump right in someone's face, kind of like trying to challenge them. So Rafa Nadal will play a great point. He can win it with a winner. He can win it with an unforced error. He will do a fist pump and often turn to himself. It's just for him, and it's not really kind of in the opponent's face. So that is really an important part to understand. How you do it and whether you do it towards yourself or towards your opponent will really set the tone for whether you're trying to be a jerk or if you're a cool guy, you're competing and fighting well. The other thing is, think of adrenaline and pumping yourself up. I like to think of it as a shot of adrenaline. In other words, I don't think I would want one of my players to be screaming and pumping his fist literally after every point or even every other point, because it just kind of gets exhausting. I think you save them for critical points of the match. When you have a really good defense or you hit a sweet winner and you use them, they should be maybe once a game at max, I would think. But if you do it too often, it doesn't have that effect because you're just kind of always in a state of agitated. So what did we cover? So I'm going to do a little bit of a summary. I think fist pumps are cool. I think they're great. It shows fight. I think it sends a message. But there's a fine line between doing it as a jerk and doing it to pump yourself up. Generally that fine line, you can see the difference between the pros and the juniors, because pros will tend to do fist pumps away from themselves or just for themselves, away from their opponent, and juniors often get in the opponent's face and do it that way. So that's not so cool. So that's kind of my thought on fist pumping and what I see out there when I watch both juniors in competition and the pros in competition. And I hope that's helpful to you, and fight like crazy on the court. Hope you have good luck out there.